Hello, and welcome back to Jollyroger Hobbies. Now, in my first video, I crashed my P-51 Mustang dowel stall into a power line, ripped off the motor. I showed you a follow-up video where I had decided, while I had it apart, while I was doing things, I was going to install lights in it and change the color scheme. I was waiting on those lights to come in, and today they did, and I also have everything I need. I have the foam putty to fill in what I need to cut in, protractor, stencils for the lettering on the side, masking tape to cover up what I don't want to paint. I got some cardstock paper to do the stencils, cut that out so I can just spray paint over. Of course, the spray paint. And let's not forget the lights. Now, of course, can't forget the star of the show, the Mustang. Now, I just want to let you know that some of the decals, like I mentioned before, will have to come off. The dowel stall will come off. But, as I told you, do not take off these decals unless you're ready to repaint or you don't want to keep the decals. If you want to keep the decals, you're going to have to buy a new decal sheet from Horizon Hobby. Now, to test what size stencils I needed, I pulled off one of the dowel stall stickers, and you can see the silver on it, and here's where it pulled off the paint, just like I said it would. So, the other stickers are going to have to come off the decals for me to install some of the lights. So, as I've said, I bought a new sticker sheet. So that's in. And then, as well, have to set this down for a minute, I'm sorry. This servo tape that's hiding the servo wires that you can't see, you can kind of see it right there. When that comes up, that's done as well. So, I had to order me some new tape, and that will have to be painted. And of course, I have the new motor. But what I really want to show you is the lights. Now, these lights are the same lights that I put on my Airwolf, and if you didn't see the video, I'll put in a link to it right now. Then, so let's see if I can't get in here one-handed. Now, these lights are from GT Power, and I'm sorry about the focus, but unfortunately my camera only focuses one time and then I start recording. So, this is the control module. I'll go ahead and take it out now. Plugs into your receiver, uses your receiver power. And then, of course, the LEDs, which this comes in with the 5mm. It comes with 2 red beacon lights, 2 white strobe lights, 1 red and 1 green navigation light, and 1 set of landing lights. And of course, here's your directions, which is very simple. This is a plug and play, which I will plug everything in and then show you. And this is the mounting hardware. Now, for the beacons, I'm only going to use 1 beacon at the top, so I'm actually going to cut off the other beacon and seal it up. So, that's going to be the start of the build. Let me go ahead and undo these lights, hook it up to the module, hook it up to the receiver, turn the battery on, and I'll show you what the lights look like as of right now. Okay, here we have our lights hooked up, and you can pretty much see they're pretty bright. Let me turn off my filter light here. Now, cover this. you can see this is one of the red navigation lights, and this is the green navigation light. But as you can tell, there's not a whole lot of light from the side, but right at the tip there's a whole bunch. It's kind of blinding. So I'm going to be sanding down the lens to diffuse them just like I did on my Airwolf. Now these are the two landing lights, and they're extremely bright, as you can see, especially for 5mm LEDs. These I will leave alone, and I'm pretty sure I'm still going to put them on. I haven't fully decided yet. Then we have our wing strobes. And then these are the two beacon lights. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to cover up the strobes here. Yeah, it's not fully working out. Alright, so these are the beacons. But I think I'm going to cut one out and only have one on the top of the tail. So, and all I did is hook it up to the receiver. I'm not going to use a separate channel. I'm just going to use a Y cable and hook it into one of the channels, probably the aileron channel. It's just a constant on. And then now I'm going to get some sandpaper and get to diffusing them, and then we'll see what it looks like afterwards. Alright, so I've sanded down the lenses, and as you can see, they're a little bit more focused. You can actually tell what they are. Now, also you can tell that I took out the landing lights. I've now decided I'm not going to do the landing lights. I don't have a way to shut them off, not with the 6-channel receiver. And I really don't want to go into it with the amount of work, I guess you could say, it would take to do that. And especially since I'm not going to be flying at night, it's not really an issue. I want it to look more scale. So as you can see, I also cut off one beacon light. So now we only have the one that's going to go on the tail. We have the two wing strobes been diffused. Definitely look more of a strobe instead of a pointed light. And then these are the navigation lights. Nice and bright and easy to tell what they are. Now, this one, when sanding it, I accidentally, there are two prongs and two wires, one negative, one positive. I pinched it, broke it, whatever. I broke the wire, and so when I went to hook it up and test the lights, it wasn't working. I found under the heat sink, or the heat shrink tubing, that it was broken. So I took the heat shrink tubing off and used my little helping hands here device, stripped part of the wire, and then I soldered the two wires together, put another piece of heat shrink tubing over it, and we have it working again. Anybody who deals with any kind of electronics, any kind of modeling, should have a rudimentary capability of soldering. At least some kind of... You don't have to be an expert, nor do you have to have the high-end equipment. I use a simple battery-operated soldering iron with regular rosin solder. I love it. Very quick and easy to use. Turn it on, solder, turn it off, I'm done. Cools off quick, heats up quick. That's all I need. I don't need any professional setup. I don't do anything like that. Of course, when dealing with any kind of soldering, any kind of thing else, use safety glasses. Please, save your eyes. Now, to sand the lenses, I used just regular gray, which I'm going to turn on the light here, it's going to kind of wash it out, but regular modeling sandpaper. 150 grit from Testers. And I'll turn off the light here. As you can see, I've got the part of the fuselage is up here, and all I did is just connect it into the aileron channel at the moment, and that's just to power up the lights. And you can see the board right here, the light board, and that's pretty much it. Now the next thing to do is going to be, whoops, as I drop the wing, is going to be cutting out the lines all the way to here to put it down. Now, we don't have to cut big holes. This is really thin wire. So all I have to do is cut a very thin V shape to put the wires down in to cover them up. And then I'll take the foam filler and fill it in overwards. But the thing is I'm going to run all the wires throughout the entire airplane, then hook them up and test them. Want to make sure they're working before I go and put the foam putty over it and seal them in, because I don't want to have to go back and work twice. Might as well do it once and that's it. Now the wings are going to have the strobe light and the navigation light, so they're going to have two wires on top of each other, so I'm going to have to go a little bit deeper in the wing, but I'm going to have them on top like this, so that way I don't have to cut out a lot instead of going like that. You see how wide that is? I don't want to put that much in. So just right on top of each other will be perfectly fine. And once I get to the servo point, I can run the wires with the rest of the servo wires underneath this tape. Right in, and then I'm going to bring them in. And there are already holes for the wires. And that's exactly where it's going to go. The module, the board, is just going to be mounted right here. There's a nice little hole right here so I can mount it in. And when I put the wing on, the only thing I'm going to have to connect is the one beacon light. All the others are going to be connected because everything else is going to be in the wing. So, now let's go ahead and pull up tape and start cutting. Now this is going to be a little bit difficult. As you can see, when I pull up the tape, of course, all the paint comes with it. So, we were ready for this. We're going to be repainting. And of course, that was my Velcro mount for my camera, my HD camera. And I lift that part off. This is what it's like to do one-handed. Just so you know. And unfortunately, this decal's going to come up too. That's just what has to happen. But we knew that was going to happen. So that's all trash. So, you can see where the servo wire is, and right here where I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and cut it up, and then mount them in. Same thing on that side. And then right here is where I'll run the wires into the other side. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, now we've cut our lines, and we have run our wires down into those holes. And if we come in close here, much as I can focus, you can see where I cut past here, just so those lines fit in. Alright, okay, so I didn't cut that part. Sorry, that's where the aileron servos go, but past here is where I cut. Obviously the irregular cut. Not that smooth. And then, like I said, plugged it in to make sure. And we did the same on this side. Now, as you can tell, these are not glued in. Because what did I say before? Always check your lights to make sure they work before you glue them in. Now we're going to use some foam safe CA glue and glue the lights in right down in here. Then we'll take the foam putty and fill in these gaps right along here all the way up to the aileron servo on both sides. Then once that's dry in about 24 hours, then we'll sand it down smooth and it'll be ready for painting. Now I have to install the beacon light. That part isn't done yet. However, let me glue these in. Glue in the lights, that is. And the wing will pretty much be finished. All I have to do is put in the foam putty, which I'll do in a little bit. Sand it down, and she'll be finished. So, now it's time to work on the beacon light. Alrighty. Now we can see we have our wing lights, our strobes, and our navigation lights. And now we have our beacon light. And as you can see, I cut along right in the fuselage here, ran the wire down into the interior right there. Now all this will be filled with foam filler and then painted over. Tell me that doesn't look pretty cool. So now that all that's working, all that's left is to glue them in, then fill up the lines with foam filler, sand it down, paint it, and then, well, paint the entire aircraft. Alright? Well, this concludes part 1 of the new build of formerly Dallastall, which will soon be Jollyroger, of course. Thank you, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and part 2 will be coming fairly soon. So keep watching, and hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, comments, please put them down below. Thank you.